people will eventually see us. But actually, everybody found us last time. Everybody who wanted to see us, they went over. And so I went into the Facebook group today, and I put the link for this call, and so people can just link over. And then I'm taking the recording, and I put the recording onto the Facebook page from YouTube, and then people can comment there too.
Hey, did you lose your microphone?
Did I? Oh, I did.
Thank you.
There. Oh my God, so much better.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you can actually hear me now, huh?
There
Okay.
you go.
There I go. As I get myself all organized. That's probably touching myself is probably why Facebook didn't let me. Oh, look at that. I found us. How wonderful. We've already got somebody hanging out with us, which is exciting. Oh, good. And then more women will find us, and then they'll check it out later too. So, hi, Renee. Who are you? And why did Jenny think this would be a fun conversation? And what does this have to do with spirit and intuition and a power word and, I don't know, women's empowerment or something?
Okay, so I'm a certified hypnotherapist, and I know Jenny from the Gathering Lighthouse, and we did a lot of classes there together on intuition. I also do meditation classes. And I just believe in all the possibilities. So I'm a possibilitarian.
How did you decide in life to be a possibilitarian? I mean, how did you decide to be pragmatic? I'm pragmatic because I come from German farmers. So they're super pragmatic. So how did you become pragmatic?
I think a lot of it was going to the Gathering Lighthouse. So I had read lots and lots of books, and I had no one to talk to about all these things about spirit guides and Shirley MacLaine and some books on astrology, but all these books on positive mental attitude. But I had no one to talk to. My friends would go, "Why are you reading that?" And I would go, "I don't know." And then I found
a lot. That happens a lot to all of us. We have this real interest in, I was obsessed about healing. You know, there's just this thing, and I can't talk to a lot of people about it because they're just like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You know, I'm like, no, there was this newest science out from quantum physics about how we're connected. And if I blink, then it changes something else in Africa. You know, I mean, it's this whole cool, experience. And everybody's like, yeah, you're full of crap. You don't know what you're talking about. And that's kind of always been my life. I've been fascinated by and curious, about the world around me.
When I used to go to Borders to look for books, I would go to the New Age section, but I would look over my shoulder to make sure that no one saw me, that I knew. And then even when I went up to the counter, I would go, all right, just get 3 books, only get 3 books because they're going to think you're crazy. So I would limit myself to 2 or 3 books so they wouldn't think that I was too crazy. And then I had no one to talk to about it. So when I found this group, it was like 11 years ago in December that I started going to the Gathering Lighthouse, and June Cordham, she had it in her home then. And I could actually talk to people about the stuff that I thought was interesting. And I heard about things that they knew about, like they would talk about Reiki, and I would go, what is that? I don't even know what it is. So I would always say, I don't know what I don't know. And that was where I was. I don't know what I don't know because I know nothing about anything that you're even talking about. And then I'd go home and I'd Google it, and I'd get another book on something. And that kind of started me on my a stronger journey that I had to just find out more about everything.
So it's almost like you were called to do it. So we've got Dina and Pamela on for sure. We've got 5 people, and they all say hello. So hi,
hello.
So I just want to ask the audience, since we have an audience, which is exciting. Did you guys find the same sort of problem where you were interested in this stuff, in intuition and metaphysics, in quantum physics, in channeling? I mean, I read most of the Seth books. I'm a big fan of Jane Roberts and all of that thinking, as well as heart math, and but it's very I think we're all in the same boat where we know this is true, we feel it's true, but we can't find good, many good guides. There are some, but not many good guides to help us kind of navigate the bridge between the everyday life we have to live, as Jenny would say, the paying the bills and the showing up to, work every day and the, taking care of your family, and plus this higher crazy connection, knowing that I have to be careful sometimes that I don't come across as arrogant, because it's just such a confidence I have in my felt sense. And I don't claim it's me. It's just a confidence in what I'm feeling and sensing and recognizing that I don't even hesitate. And so I always have to keep that step back of, wait, you don't really know. Let's pause a second and not get caught up in my own, in my own magnificence as I'm channeling from something bigger than me.
I think it's important too to find, like Renee said, we found a group where we could talk about this stuff and practice it. And there's a big difference between reading about it and actually doing it. And that's the difference between learning a skill and then actually applying the skill. And so that was a big important step for me too, was finding a place where I could practice and be like, is this something real or is this just my imagination, and see what happens with it. Turns out it's not just my imagination.
How are you confident that it's not your imagination? Because I love these stories you tell.
My whole thing was, every time I started doing readings for people, they were so random and filled with such imagery that it was random. But when I would hand it over to somebody, I would say, sorry, this is rubbish. I know it doesn't mean anything. This is all I got for you. And then they would get the piece of paper. We would do these billets where we would, blind read for somebody. And they'd be like, no, this happened today. This was a song I heard. All these things were hits. And I was thinking all these things were garbage, just random thoughts popping in my head. And so then I kind of got, my thought was, okay, universe, if you want me to do this, then I want verifiable proof. I want to get information that people can say, this is exactly something, not just talking in, airy fairy.
Right, which I hate to say it, but a lot of men do. They do this weird spiritual bypass where they don't actually feel what's going on, and then they just go right to the theory. And you're just like, you really don't know what you're talking about. So just shut up so that the real people can do the work. Thank you. That ends up so pretentious. It makes me crazy.
Well, because it's all just these nice, airy fairy thoughts about how stuff is, which is great. It probably, it is. But when people are coming for you for information, they want to know that, how are you connecting, and is it real, and prove to me it's real. So I want to know that it's real too. So I want to prove it to them. So that's what I get, is I get information like, here's people, not necessarily names, because names are trickier, but I can describe the person, in detail. I can tell you things about them that I should know, because I don't know your family, or I don't know your history. I don't want to know that. So how do I know these things about you then, or these people that are related to you?
We talked to Tim yesterday. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see that. Tim Biscup is, a unicorn, as in he's a successful artist. He lives in Southern California. He makes good money off of his, the artwork that he does. And he's, like all of us, really messed up too. And so, we talked yesterday, and I said, how were you able to be so successful with your art when you have all of these personal problems going on? And he says, well, ever since I was a kid, I thought I was crazy. Everybody treated me like I was crazy. They took me into the doctors, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why can't you be like everybody else? And there was a part of me that protected myself, that that wouldn't allow those people to tell me that there was something wrong with me. And because he wouldn't allow it, and he just let the genius and the creativity and the art just flow through him, that's why he was successful, because he was able to separate the everyday stuff going on. And when he did his art, just let it flow through him without judgmentalism, without questions, without, giving it a hard time. And it was that pure channeling that made him, that allowed people to see deeper than they normally saw. And as a result, really wanted to pay him good money for his art.
Well, he got his message out. He was getting a message, and he gets it out through art. And people recognize that message as something, almost divinely inspired. They recognize it as authentic. Like, this is real. This isn't somebody pretending to be an artist. This guy is speaking something, and then his art speaks to them. So it's just another way of doing a reading. He's just putting it down on paper. So.
Right. And that's what I do when I do healing work. It's the same sort of thing of I can't prepare. I just have to show up and allow it to flow through me and trust that I'm humble enough that I let my intuition come through without, coloring it with too much of my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, Renee, how do you feel about all this?
Okay, so I work a lot with hypnotherapy, and I feel that my intuition helps so much with this. I feel like my Reiki and healing energy helps me so much with everything. So although I'm doing a hypnosis session, I am, like reading the person and what they truly need and expressing things to them and saying, well, did you ever think about this? Did you ever think about that? And also sending them healing energy while I'm doing the hypnosis session. And it's not like I have to say, oh, by the way, I'm doing Reiki and I'm doing intuitive things and we're doing this session. I think
Can I pause you just a second? And I hate to do that. I know I always think it's so rude. But part of what I do is I feel for energy and conflict, and I feel for tension. And as you're talking about this, and probably you had memories around it where you had to, explain to people, I'm doing Reiki, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing the other thing. A lot of women who are in this stuff, they don't even feel comfortable telling someone that they're doing these things. It creates tension, even thinking about that they might have to expose themselves to someone and say, yes, like you did in the bookstore. Is anybody looking? Is anybody going to judge me? Is there going to be something wrong with me? So what I want to do, because that's anxiety, even thinking about, exposing yourself and having someone ridicule you, Jenny's too confident to really tie into that one. But us, it's like, oh my God. So let's haven, okay, please. So we're going to stop and we're haven. Havening is where we stroke our arms 20 times. It puts our brain into the delta brainwave state. It allows our nervous system to go from sympathetic fight or flight to parasympathetic groundedness. It dissolves and detoxes the stress chemicals in our brain around it, and you actually get a healing. So when you have tension, if you pause and regulate your nervous system, then your body does a healing, and you think clearer, you get more insight, you don't get distracted by the rabbit going down the hole, because you just get the emotion out of the way. Okay, so everybody, you're watching, I know you're with me. Whether you need to or not, let's just haven. Okay, do it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then if you want, just put in the chat if you noticed any shifts or changes. and I'll relate them as we go on. So thanks. It's just a way that we get our healing done by feeling for the different tensions that show up and then clearing them out. I think it's like super effective. So I'm so sorry for interrupting you.
No, that's quite all right. So I think my main focus is, I know my main focus is on hypnosis and explaining to people about how they can change their subconscious mind, start new neural pathways, and make the changes easily and quickly, and to make the changes that they truly want in their life. So that's pretty much what I base everything on, is hypnosis, doing sessions for people, and then letting them see the change and telling them to give themselves credit for the changes that they see, because we don't do that a lot of times. We still have a tendency to focus in on what we want, what we still want to change, and we kind of ignore the changes that we're making. So those small little changes that we start to make, when we focus on those, we want to do more of that. Your subconscious mind pushes you into do more of the things that you truly want in your life. So that's
like a spiraling up that happens when we make these little steps like that, and even the smallest change. And that's the premise of the 7 days, is when you do the healing work around stuff that comes up, you change because you see it differently, just like with hypnosis. And then you respond differently, you get different insights. And if we do a different part of ourselves, a different part of our life every day, and change just that 1%, it adds up and we end up making big changes by the end of the week. So it's the same sort of thing of just making one small shift in how we feel about something. Havening just once is just enough. Very cool. So what's the power word thing that you were talking about?
Okay, so a lot of times at the beginning of the year, people, or in the past, would make a New Year's resolution. And then people would say to them, well, that's not going to work. You know, nobody sticks with their New Year's resolutions. Why did you even make that? And so now you have all these people saying this to you. And now your belief system changes around this wonderful thing that you said that you're going to change and that you're going to do. So in the last few years, I've been reading more and more and doing it myself, is just picking a word at the beginning of the year, but a powerful word, a word that I know will really help me and guide me. So what I say to people is, pick a word that you know will give you motivation. Pick a word that you know will push you through the year. Pick a word that will pull you through the year. Pick a word.
So I'm gonna pause you again, because this is a really fun one. This is a fun exercise. So as everybody's starting to think about the word that they might use, this is what I want you to do. So you'll need some space to stand up.
Oh boy.
This one's great, and you know it's going to be super effective. You totally know it's going to be. Are you going to spin in your chair? Okay, fine. You can spin in your chair. Be that way. Everybody's looking at me lower. Hang on, let me move my camera up. There we go. Better. Okay, so all right. I know as you started to talk about word of the day, everybody started to come up with what their word was going to be. You know, we automatically do that. What's my word going to be? And, you know, mine might be joy. So let's say the first word that came to my mind was joy. So I want everybody to do this and just play along. This is why it works. I want you to take that word that popped up into your mind, you know, the one that rabbited itself to the front of your brain. I want you to take that word and put it a foot in front of you. Imagine that word. Mine's going to be joy, and it's going to be a foot in front of me. Imagine it. Got it? Okay. Now I want you to physically take your finger, and I want you to point at that word. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's respect. Maybe it's compassion. What's your word, Renee?
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. Jenny, what's the word that popped up in your mind?
Disclosure.
Disclosure. Wow. You scare me.
I know.
Should you scare me? Maybe that's what I'm working on.
We'll talk about it after we spin.
Oh, dear. Okay, so point at the word. Got it? Now we're going to turn to the left 3.5 times, and I'll count it off. Okay, go to your left. Mine's joy. We've got disclosure. We've got abracadabra. You've got whatever your word is. Keep it in your mind's eye and it follows with you. As you go in the circle, it goes with you. Okay, we're at 2. I think we're at 2.
Yes.
Okay. Keep the word in your mind's eye and pay attention if it changes. Pay attention if your feelings around it change. All right, and now half. Just a half. Keep pointing at it. Keep looking at it. All right. Did anything in your word, anything in your vision change for you, Renee?
I did not notice any change, but I've had that word already picked out for a while now.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know if the vision of it like got softer around the edges or got more resolute and firmer.
It almost got more acceptable because I don't want people to think that it's an airy-fairy word. So it got more acceptable for me because it didn't feel so like I would think that people would think that it's airy-fairy. And what do I care what people think anyway? But we still do. So
That was really great. Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for sharing that. When we do that, it helps get rid of any emotional charges we have around it, and we are able to see it clearly, and we relate to it differently. And it's okay if it didn't change, but did your change word at all? Did your vision or any felt sense around it change, Jenny?
It actually kind of glowed a little bit. So it was just a word, and then it was kind of like a shimmery glow word.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. So I couldn't pay attention to joy because I was too busy, doing the experience, leading it. So I don't have what happened to joy for me. Otherwise, I would have focused more. But I do this exercise actually a lot because anytime I feel any sort of emotional charge, even if it's a really good emotional charge, I want to clear the emotions out of the way so that I can see it clearly, so that I'm not distracted by something in the past, that's still in my system, and I just get it off my system so I have clear vision around it. So I love that one. It's kind of magical. Okay, so now that I interrupted you again, Power Words 2021.
So I just really believe that you can take a word and it can do all those things. It can pull you through the year. It can push you through when you're stuck. So let me tell you what my word was for 2020. My word for 2020 was decide, because I felt like I was stuck in many places at many times. So at the beginning of the year, I picked that word. I felt like I used it a little bit. And then when we started the shelter in place in March, I knew that that word was going to push me forward. So many little things in our life that we just have to make a decision. Am I going to have a cup of coffee? Am I going to drink that water? What am I going to cook for dinner? How am I going to act here? What am I going to say here? Everything that we do is a decision. But I felt like I didn't get stuck. It would be like, okay, there's a text I'm going to answer. I'm not going to put it on my list of things to do. There's an email. And so I would go, I'm not sure what I'm going to say. And then I would put it on a list. And I thought, you know what, just answer, just decide. So that decide pulled me through. I feel like I accomplished so much more. I feel like I got through my life so much more by that word decide, because I would just say, just decide, just decide, just decide. I would get things done and I would feel good about it. So that I like the word magical and I like the word miracles. And so I was trying to choose between those two words. And I'd watched a YouTube video of a man doing magic tricks in front of a business organization. And he started to tell him about the word abracadabra and what it meant. And he said, abracadabra means I create as was spoken. And I thought, you know what? Wow, that really is powerful, that what we speak, whether it's internally or externally, we're creating. And so that's why I know that abracadabra is my special word for this year that is going to help me when I make these decisions or when I think these things, to either stop thinking if it's negative or push myself to think more of the positive and move on, because I'm going to create as was spoken. So that's why
Wow.
my word.
Talk
Wow.
about great intention. That's wonderful. And I'm so excited that it got like firmed in. Like, yes, this
Yes.
is what's right for me. That's really cool.
Yes.
You put
So
a lot of thought into that.
I did. I can tell you some of the ladies that I've talked to and some of the words that they picked. I'll just tell you like briefly. So choice, strive, prosperity, wellness, consistency, opportunity, commit, love, choose, transparency. So those are just some of the words that people that I've talked to that they've picked. And, you know, they put some thought into it. And I think those are really, really cool words.
You know, it almost seems like it's something that, you know, we'd contemplate on, and we'd really use our intuition for that felt sense of what really is the right word for me. You know, so every day we do, during this week, we do a healing time where we allow ourselves to be in that kind of a higher level of thinking, that higher brainwave state where you can hear our intuition better. We can hear what's kind of coming up from under the surface about what will pull us forward or inspire us to keep doing the things that we know we want to do, even when we get tired or overwhelmed or frustrated. How do you feel about all that, Jenny?
Yeah, I mean, I really think that there's something to planting that seed in your head every day, right? When you have a word, and then, you know, even if you just remind yourself of the word every day, it's better than saying, well, not better, but it's another opportunity to not just make a resolution that you feel obligated to stick to, but rather just a thought of bringing it back each day. Like, you know, like Renee's thought of abracadabra, say it in the morning. What are you manifesting? What are you bringing to forward? What words are you creating today? You know, last night when I saw we were going to talk about this word, I laid in bed and I'm like, all right, what's going to be the word? And a couple words were floating through, you know, like they drift forward, bumped out by the next one. And then this one came to me, disclosure. And I thought, what do I want to do with that? And it kind of said to me, you know, not take away the political or the government stuff that people want to go with full disclosure, and think more of it on a personal level. Like, what do I want to disclose about myself this year? How, and when I do that, what happens? And how is that a benefit? You know, how can I disclose who I truly am? How can I disclose my purpose? How can I disclose what people need to hear, or what wants to be spoken, or what information needs to get out there?
Yeah, that's the difference between how we've spent most of our lives of kind of spinning, of just reacting to things, not thinking ahead, not thinking what will take me where I want to go. Most of the time, we're stuck in those same thoughts every day of where do I have to be? What do I need to do? Who's going to be mad at me? How do I fix this? What needs to be done next? And to take the time like you did last night and ask deeper questions about it, and with faith, the faith that, yes, I can change my reality, and I know how to change my reality, and what do I want to do in order to change my reality, and is this still the reality I want to create? Is that kind of in a nutshell?
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of a fact of, you know, previously, you know, I do a circle with some other friends, and, you know, we do it one for like every month. And so when we did the one for the solstice, it was kind of like, okay, you know, this is the incubation period, and what are you bringing forward to the next year? And my thought was like, well, I'm gonna get out there more. I'm gonna do more things to get my information out there. But all I need to do is set that intention. And then the universe, God, whatever, throws the rest here. It says, okay, here's an opportunity. You want to take it? Here, do you want to do Rita's talk? Here, go ahead, try that. See if that gets you out there. And then, you know, and then not worry about like what the reaction is of anybody else, because realistically, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't, I have to be comfortable with myself. And if doing this work makes me comfortable, doing this work gets me back into the alignment I feel I need to be in, then that's the purpose that it's serving.
Yes,
So,
I agree.
So, the disclosure isn't so much about sharing things that I've been trying to keep hidden or that I don't want other people to know or that I'm not comfortable sharing. It's more, let's just be open about it. Let's just throw it out there and see what hits and what people do with it.
It's intuitive authenticity, I think.
Right. It's just saying what's out
Do that a
there
lot. Yeah.
and
Let's
seeing,
be authentic and pray.
and you know what? The message always hits the people that it needs to hit. And that's the thing. There's going to be people where it's not going to resonate and they're not going to be interested. I mean, Renee knows that from doing hypnosis. She can talk about how great it is, but if it doesn't jive with you or you don't think it works, it's not going to work. So then that's not the people she's speaking to. And it's kind of the same with my work. The people that I do readings for, either it makes sense to them and they know exactly what I'm talking about and they're not freaked out or worried or concerned about it. They're more like, oh, I needed to hear that. Thank you. So that's what I try to get out there.
That's really exciting. And we're trying to pull, all of us who've been speaking, we've done a lot of inner work. And I know I've been looking at the world around me and I told somebody the other day, I said, look, we're going to be having a mental and emotional health crisis. And the empaths are kind of at the front of the line feeling everything that happens. And I can't ignore this. I can't ignore how we don't have to be as stuck as we are. I have to get out there and be speaking, in a way that encourages, specifically with me, women to make healthy life choices because it really is possible to fix themselves. If, fix, no judgmentalism around it. Just, yes, you've got some cognitive dissonance and we can get rid of that. You've got some triggers and we can clean those up. You've got some nervous system reactions. We can calm those down. We can get you into your parasympathetic and out of your sympathetic. So it's very practical. It really does exist. And I'm constantly trying to beat that drum, and convince women that, yes, you can change and you can change really fast. You just have to be dedicated with it for a little while and you'll find yourself in a whole new place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think getting the message out there that, especially with the intuition, like learning to listen to yourself, learning to listen to the little voice within that gently nudges you in directions. I mean, play with it, sit at a stoplight and say, I have 2 ways I can get to work. Should I go straight or should I turn left and see what happens? No harm, no foul, right? Just to see like what happens when I tune into that and actually listen to it. Just play with it.
Right. Yeah. And the more you focus on it, the stronger it gets and the better your intuition gets. And the more you clear your emotions out of the way when they come up, the better your intuition gets because you're just not distracted and your body isn't as stressed out.
Right.
So we'll need to wrap up. So is there anything you guys want to add before we wrap up? And this is on YouTube with everybody's comments. And I'm going to take the link in like 10 minutes and put it over on Facebook so that people can watch it on Facebook and comment below that too. So I'll put it in a post. So we'll do both. You guys can check out both if you want.
So can I just say, if anybody needs help figuring out their word, I could absolutely walk them through it. Just ask them a couple of questions, help them to walk through that. Not to tell them, oh yeah, that's a better word or this is a better word, but just to let them figure out their word. So if anybody wants to
make that, we do an engagement prize every day for the women who engage the most. Would you be willing to sit down then with one of the women and do a 20 to 30 minute power word coaching consult?
Absolutely. Yes.
Fabulous. What are you going to do, Jenny?
I'll offer another 30-minute reading.
Oh, wonderful.
I like to throw that out there and say, if you could ask the universe one question, write that down. Don't tell me. And then we'll see what happens when we do a reading together.
That's exciting. Cool. Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Jenny?
No, I think just I was interested that word came up for me, disclosure. So now I'm going to see how that shows up moving forward.
I want to hear about that, and maybe share it with other people too. Like if you notice something, everybody who's on the call, listening to the replay or now, when you have that power word, share it with everybody, because it gains energy and momentum, and we can recognize you and say, wow, that's a great word. And what do you think about this? And this is wonderful. It's this village that comes together that is what makes all of this work. So make sure you're vulnerable and you're open and you're authentic and you share this stuff.
I just want to say too, that when I help the person figure out their word, I just got myself, it's called My Intention, and I can make bracelets with your word on it all by myself. So the person that wins, I'll walk them through their word, and then I'll even make them a little bracelet and mail that to them.
That's so cool. That
Now
I know,
I
how
wanna
exciting.
I'm so
I know
excited
we both wanted that now.
It's
Yeah.
like a little hammer thing that you do to
Right.
put the word on there. Yeah, so it's really kind of cool.
Oh, cool.
Very cool.
Okay, so we're going to see you guys later this week again, which will be fun. And we'll see you on the Facebook page and YouTube. All right.
Cool.
Talk to everybody later. And 2
Okay,
o'clock
bye.
we're going to do a group energy healing. So
Ooh.
that'll be a lot of fun. So group energy healing here on YouTube with Deb Lucan at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, talk to you later, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.